Today I'm making a lovely raisin and walnut tart from a 1985 edition of Epicurean magazine. I've made this tart several times without the alcohol, but today I've soaked the raisins overnight in rum. Rum and raisin go so well together, so I'm really curious to see what the difference will be and how the finished tart will taste today. And it also works beautifully gluten-free. Add the rum. It has just taken it to the next level. So this tart's actually quite easy to make, and the pastry you can do it by hand, but it works wonderful in the food processor and it's so much quicker. So I don't even worry about sifting the flour for this one, but I simply put 125 grams of plain flour into the processor. And if you're using gluten-free plain flour, 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum, that's all. 35 grams of corn flour or cornstarch as it may be known. Just 2 tablespoons of icing sugar, which is powdered sugar in some places, and 125 grams of butter. And this is cold butter that I've had in the fridge and I just chopped up into smallish pieces. Now I'm going to whiz this just until the butter is evenly distributed. And that was only 10 seconds, but the butter is tiny little pieces now throughout the flour. And then I add just 1 large egg. Now that should be enough to bring this together to a dough. And I counted to 15. Just a light coating of flour on the bench. It feels really nice, this pastry. Then I just lightly flour my rolling pin and roll it out big enough to fit the tart tin. If it's really hot in your kitchen, put the pastry in the fridge for half an hour or so before you roll it out. Now the recipe calls for a 22 centimetre tart tin, and this one's a 24 centimetre one, but I can't find the base anywhere. So I have made it before in this one, which is a 28 centimetre one, and it works beautifully. It just gives you a really thin pastry, and I quite like thin pastries. So anywhere between a 22 centimetre and a 28 centimetre will work. Now I didn't grease this tin. I don't find that it needs greasing because of the high butter content in the pastry. It sort of comes away easy. And because it is gluten-free, you know, you may have to press it in a little bit. Just patch up any thin bits here. And that'll do, not perfect, but it works fine. So now what I'm going to do is just blind bake this just for 10 minutes. So I get a piece of baking paper and scrunch it up. Try to cover the sides as well. And I've got pastry weights here, but in the past I've used a packet of lentils or split peas or rice even. Now this goes in the preheated oven just for 10 minutes at 160 degrees with a fan or 180 degrees Celsius conventional. And after 10 minutes, the pastry will have begun to set. And that's all you need at this stage. So I'll wait for that to cool down a bit, then I'll remove the pastry. But leave your oven on because the tart goes right back in as soon as the filling's made. Now for the filling, you'll need 165 grams of raisins. And the recipe suggests that you poach them, and all that you have to do for that is to put them in a little saucepan, cover them with cold water, bring them to the boil on the stove, then lower the heat and let them simmer for about 5 minutes, and then drain them and cool them down, and they're plumped up raisins then. Or you can soak them in some alcohol overnight, and these ones I've just had soaking overnight in rum, in one of those tiny wee little bottles of Bundaberg rum, and that was 50 mils, just 2 or 3 tablespoons, and they've soaked up all that rum and they're all plumped up. You'll also need 2 lightly beaten eggs. So into a bowl I simply put the raisins that I've soaked in the rum, 180 grams of sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, a quarter of a teaspoon of ground cloves, the 2 lightly beaten eggs, 250 grams of full fat sour cream, 60 grams of walnuts. Now, I just sort of give them a little crumble with my hands. I don't want them finely chopped. The nice big pieces of walnuts are actually quite nice in this tart. And the last thing is just 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice, and mix that together well. And that's the filling. That's how easy the filling is. Oops. And all I do now is tip this filling into the pastry crust. Now this goes back in that slow oven of 180 conventional or 160 degrees Celsius with a fan for about 30 minutes or so, or until this is set. So I just had a look at them. It's been 30 minutes. It's starting to puff up and it smells delicious, but it's not quite ready. So I'm going to set my timer for another 10 minutes. So that's been 40 minutes. It's brown around the edge. It feels set. Yep, that's set. Now I'm just going to let it cool for 5 minutes or so and then slice a piece warm. Smells beautiful. So the tart's still warm, but it's cool enough to handle. And I'll carefully remove it from its base. Oh, it's still quite hot. Now this is best served warm with some cream, and the recipe suggests rum or whiskey flavoured cream if you went that route with the raisins. But today I'm just going to do cream, and it just looks beautiful. The pastry is super thin. Because it's so fresh, I'm going to leave it on its base. And if you use the smaller tart tin, your filling will be thicker. Oh, looks good. And you know, if you want to make it look even prettier, you can dust it with ice and sugar. Look how thin that pastry is. So now, lashings of cream. I'm so curious what the rum has added to this tart. Oh, add the rum. It has just taken it to the next level. This is so delicious. I hope you enjoy it if you make it, you know, with or without the alcohol. It's delicious, but I highly recommend adding a bit of rum or whiskey. It's just sensational. I'm so happy I added the rum. It's like a rum and raisin tart. I love it. And I hope you do too if you give it a try. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.